The podcast represent for the youths them. Have a right so we share for reviews them. Have a mind and a voice so we use them. Tell me why them a try confuse them. And we a spread unity, spread love in your community. And that's just who we be. Yet still we face scrutiny. Make a choice, use your voice, share your thoughts and human rights. Make a choice, use your voice, share your thoughts and human rights.
Welcome back to another Just Tea podcast episode. Now, our topic for today is body-worn cameras. Now, I'm Michaela Douglas and I'm here with
Cleveland Tomlinson
and Tijana Taylor.
And for this topic, we're going to do a deep dive into what is this body-worn camera thing that we're talking about. And first, we're here with Cleveland. What to say about it?
I think it should be standard operating procedure for the members of the security forces to utilize body-worn camera. The data with respect to the alarming use of lethal force by the security forces clearly justify and support the call for body-worn camera. What we have been seeing over the last few years since 2017 is a significant jump in the number of police fatal killings, and that in itself calls for there to be the need for body-worn cameras.
How much is it though, since recently?
Well, in 2025, 311 persons were killed by the police. That was roughly 64% increase from the 180 plus that was killed in 2024. So far in 2026, 150 persons have been killed. Those statistics are alarming.
Yeah,
should not be acceptable.
Yeah. What you say?
Well, I also think, and that's true, and I also think that in us looking forward in terms of Jamaica, that where we want our policing or investigations to be better, because we have a significant challenge with that. I think body-worn cameras also, in addition to protecting the lives of vulnerable Jamaicans, it also helps in policing, helps in investigation, it helps in that entire process. And I think it's also another tool for security forces to keep themselves accountable and for Jamaicans to know what's happening on the ground. I'm sure we've seen some footage of the police officers overseas on traffic stops and when they're on operations, and it gives you a perspective into the life of a security force officer, whether it's in the JDF or the JCF. So you have an appreciation of the fact that they're putting themselves forward in the line of data. So it is, for the most part, helps to kill two birds with one stone.
Exactly. Because some persons today, you're hearing a lot of positions, and you have some persons saying that it's gonna invade the privacy of the officer. But when you look at it, is it simply gonna invade the privacy of the officer? When are we proposing for the body-worn cameras to actually be used?
The body-worn cameras should be utilized in the process of the execution of the duties of the officer. The officer is not acting on a frolic of his own when he is executing his duties. Therefore, the officer is acting and executing on the authority that the state has given that officer. And that authority must also be policed. Whilst the police is policing us in terms of ensuring safety and order, the exercise of the enormous authority that they execute, that the state gives them, that exercise must also be policed. And it's effectively done with the use of body-worn camera. So I don't think anyone is calling for the body-worn cameras to be consistently on during just the private engagements of the officer. What is generally understood is that the body-worn camera should be on, should be utilized when a police officer is executing his or her functions. Meaning, if a traffic stop is in progress, then it should be utilized. For tactical operations where the security force targets a particular individual, like planned operations, I see no justifiable reason for body worn cameras not to be deployed in planned operations. You know you go for the man, you know you're going to go for the man, you have already planned the operations around it. You should also incorporate the use of body worn cameras in that planning and that act.
And I think we have international best practices and standards. So it's not this new thing. I think they've been utilized in the United States and other we call more developed countries. So we can look at, or we should look at, best practices and see how best we can apply it to our context here. So I think it is just a next step in our own security enforcement and us really keeping everybody accountable. As Cleveland says, just us auditing the authority that the state gives our security force officers.
Excellent. So basically, we're not asking for the body worn camera to be utilized all the time, even when the police officer they're home. As long as he's a police officer, he's always, even when he's driving to get a little KFC, driving to get a little mother's patties or something, he's using the body camera. That's not what we're asking for. So we're specifically asking for the utilization of the body worn camera within the realm of there being a planned operation, meaning that if the police are go out, if them plan say them are go out today and there's a possibility say a man will get shoot downtown, them are asked say then utilize those body worn camera to ensure that there is some form of accountability and transparency both on the side of the citizen and also on the side of the police officer. Because look at the true crime. These days I've been watching some true crime now. I'm a true crime girlie. And through that body worn camera, because we don't have a man who walk around with video equipments and in camera up and down, right? Exactly. So we have, it's through the lens of the body worn camera that we have been seeing these things being put in place. So why not our little, but we tell our Jamaican, look from Brazil, look at other areas, they're using it.
That's true. I think as a society and within government, I think everybody agrees that body worn cameras. I think the challenge sometimes is really everything that we do is really how do you execute it, and how is the best way for us to execute it in the shortest period of time. I remember there was some conversation about it, and I remember there's a challenge saying by the chief of not chief of defense of the police commissioner. I was going to say police chief. The police commissioner about its implementation, saying that we can have body worn cameras, but then how do we, like, what's the apparatus, what's the ecosystem for it? So similar to how you would have you put up cameras on a building. You can't just put up cameras so you don't put up cameras and then you don't have a system so you can store the footage. And then you have a system where you can back up the footage. And you have a system where you have, and I guess in computer science something called redundancy, where you don't lose the footage over time. And then do we have a national mechanism for storing stuff like that? Because I know that even with our national gallery and other important stuff to our culture and to our society, we have a challenge, infrastructure challenge in terms of storage. So I think there's a lot more conversation that needs to be had in and around it. Given that we all agree, body cameras are a necessity to policing in today's society.
Yeah, we have had from the standpoint of the High Command of the Police Force and the government of Jamaica, they have had ample time to roll out the infrastructure that would be needed to support just the wide-scale deployment of body-worn cameras. It's not now, as a country, that we have been talking about extrajudicial killing by the security forces. It's not a new phenomenon that we're engaging with. We have historically had high incidents of police fatal killing. We have had, it has plummeted in some years, but clearly we are seeing a resurgence. It was the case that led to the establishment of Indicom under the Golden administration. The Honest administration has been in office since 2016. I think if there was any urgency for it to be in place, then between 2016 and 2026, which is a decade, we had ample time as a country to roll out the infrastructure. But where we're at now, I was quite heartened when the Prime Minister at a function some time ago, I think, and I would say just reminded people that it is the stance of his government that body-worn cameras should be in place. It took him an awful long time for him to actually come and engage in the public conversation, because the Prime Minister was silent on the issue for a bit, and it appears contradictory from the government himself, because his remarks contradict his security minister's remarks, who seemingly frowned upon the use of body-worn camera. But albeit, we take it from the chairman of cabinet, the head of the government, I'm heartened that he has expressed that. Right now, I think where we're at is to support the infrastructure and to see its deployment full scale.
Yeah, I agree. I think with a lot of things in Jamaica, it sometimes boiled down to party line, some of the national conversations kind of boil down. But then when you strip away some of the noise, we kind of, because I try to listen to, okay, what are the persons who are the implementers, what are they saying, what are the challenges from a developmental standpoint, right? So I agree with you, with Cleveland, in that I think just the conversation has been a little bit muddied in the sense, because I think when ministers and members of parliament they're, I would consider liming, or they're having their conversations in parliament, stuff are said, arguments, but in the aftermath, when the dust settles, the commissioner said the rollout is a lot more than what they want it to be, because that's fueled into evidence. It has to fuel into. So I agree with Cleveland. I think some more effort needs to be done in terms of rolling this out in a quicker manner. But then I also understand from a developmental standpoint that Jamaica do faces a myriad of challenges. When you look at like housing development, the fact that we are so prone to environmental challenges. Every year there's a next hurricane where we have to spend money about. Persons having challenges. So it's not a one or the other. It's okay, we're now in a position where this is a necessity. How will this be done? And how soon can it, as I said, how quickly can this be rolled out? And I think for the most part, that's more so the conversation I try to have. Okay, yeah man, we agree so we need body-worn cameras, we agree so the international standards, we agree on these things. How now can we move this thing forward? I know that there are a lot of infrastructure investment in terms of policing, giving them more equipment and so forth from a monetary standpoint. So it's really just now, let's get it done.
Exactly.
I understand that there may be some resistance internally within the police force regarding body-worn cameras. I think it helps them. I think they should understand that when they find themselves in precarious positions, when how they execute their functions are brought into question, the use of the body-worn camera supports them. So if you don't want to be charged by Indicom, you don't want to find yourself on the wrong side of JCF's policies and standards, using the body-worn camera can support you. So if a man say, to you as a police officer makes a case against you, that you did X that was wrong, and you can pull on the body-worn camera footage to corroborate your report, your position, and vindicate you even. I think members of the police force should should view it in that light. And also, if you're acting according to policy and acting within the law appropriately, then you should have absolutely no challenge
problem with
wearing body worn camera, because nothing that you do would be problematic, because you'll be acting within the law, you'll be acting within the scope of your duty. So that conversation that, regarding just the resistance and the breach of privacy, I think is one that's just too narrow. We should broaden the perspective on just the use of it by the security forces.
And I think you highlight an important thing in that, like, a lot of the stages in terms of implementing new systems, I think like not much conversation is being had around it in terms of it and it in its detail. So I see where some person may say, well, I'm not so sure about the camera thing, because what about this, what about that? I know Jamaicans stay. We go think about every single situation under the sun. But I agree with Cleveland. I think we may have a culture of resisting change, but embracing change is one thing, but also conversation. I think conversation about what it will look like in Jamaica, what are the do's and don'ts. And I think hopefully as they move forward, because I think the government is procuring more cameras, and I think there's another procurement for some systems or something of the sort. More conversation from a policy standpoint. So not just to say, oh, we think X or we think Y, but more so, okay, this is how internally from JCF, this is how we would like these things to operate. These are the do's and don'ts. This is what citizens should expect. This is what police officers should expect. And I think those internal conversations help us to minimize certain concerns, because the truth is it's being utilized internationally. So it won't be anything new.
And you have to say it's at work.
Yeah,
it's at work. It's working.
It's sometimes it's nice sitting and watching the police stop footage, and when they go on operations and when they apprehend certain persons, it really, as Cleveland says, it helps the officers, and I think it can do a major service in terms of public relations for the JCF. Person can have a front view of what it means to be on an operation. So as I say, I think just conversation from a policy, internal policy and a national policy standpoint needs to be had in and around this, and not necessarily, okay, whether or not should we have body cameras, should we not have body cameras? We all agree, we should have. No, how can we implement it? What are the steps? Government needs to outline probably a more detailed timeline in terms of, okay, next year we got to do this, 2 years from now, this is what it's going to like for its implementation. So I think those are the conversations we should be having.
Right. Instead of having
such
tension. Anyways, now when you look at it, and as you mentioned policy, we already know that the JCF has the policy that basically states that, okay, the police officers may use the body worn camera. No, some would say that, okay, we already have this policy in place. No, why we keep on arguing about it? No, I'd like to just put it out there. It is in place, however, it's on a policy standpoint. It says may. So it gives the police officer a discretionary duty to actually decide whether or not they want to do it. So that's what we're trying to clarify with our person. It is out there, it's just that when it provides a discretionary obligation to commit a duty, it means that there are instances in which the person are gonna want to do it. Because if you tell me that you can do it, if you want to do it, if me don't feel good, me not do it. Because no, when you put it as an obligation for me to actually go out there and do it, I think it would be a better standpoint. What you guys say on that?
Yeah. So it should not be discretionary. It should be non-discretionary. And also having it in policy, there's a big dichotomy, a big difference between policy and practice.
True.
So telling me that it's JCF policy already, if it's not practice, then it's problematic because I don't just care that the policy exists for it. What I care about is that
Is it working?
is the policy being followed? And I think clearly that question is easily answered.
Okay.
But I think we have consensus on that. Societal consensus on it. But it goes back to my initial point. I think, as a master's student doing development studies, I think one of the challenges we have as a small island developing state is our approach to conversations, right? I don't think we can afford for conversations to become too polarized. You get me? And I think, and the reason why I stress that is the details of the conversation gets left out. So, for example, like Ivan is saying, yes, persons are saying, well, we need to go to the policy, or well, we already have it in policy, or we need to, but it's there. But the question is, what is the challenge now on its practical application? Again, does more consultation needs to be done with officers? Is it that we have because we won't necessarily know every single thing that happens in the briefing rooms for the different operations and so forth. But the question is, okay, are we implementing something very unique in our policing that we can't necessarily make it public? You get me?
Yeah.
Is it that officers feel a little bit too watched? Then do they need more training with the body worn camera? Yeah, so these are the type of conversations I think needs to be had. And my hope is, as the government, which includes both opposition and government side, tackle this debate in terms of implementation, when it will be implemented, what are the details, these additional conversations can be made.
There's still a trust deficit between the citizenry and the security forces. I think that trust deficit was heightened in the past, particularly in the 2010s, 9, 8. I think we've improved on security force citizen engagement, but the reality is that there's still a trust deficit there.
Especially now.
Particularly in light of incidents that have really, I think, shaken the society's social consciousness. Particularly the killing of, what's her name? Latoya in St. James. I think that only lends itself to worsening the trust deficit between the security forces and the people. We really need to improve the kind of engagement that the police has with citizens. And I think the use of body-worn camera can support that improvement in trust. And beyond the use of body-worn camera, I think that a broader conversation must be had about how the security force sees people and executes its function and engages with people. The level of respect must be given. And also, on the flip side, I find that there is an appetite for disobedience and an appetite for disrespect directed at members of the security force. In some cases, one can be sympathetic to the origin of that disrespect if we just observe the individual cases and judge them on their merit. But overall, I think that we really need to lower the temperature when the citizens are engaging with the police, when the police engaging with the citizens. That broader conversation needs to be had as well.
And I agree with you 100% in that. It's what so when we do a juxtaposition, right? We look at society norms, and somewhat of a tangent. I remember I was seeing this study done regarding education, and it was said that a major part of education is culture. So you can take the teachers take the textbooks, take the classroom, physical classroom from like China or those countries that have a very high, literacy rate, for example. Like if you copy paste it here, it may not work because culture is a major part of that. Culture, work ethic, your values, your beliefs. So, and I use that now as context to say, when we now look at policing in Jamaica, I think, and Cleveland really highlights that, we're finding a challenge because I don't know if you've ever talked to a police officer and say, oh, what's it like? Like they tell you, Jamaicans are not necessarily the best persons to cooperate.
But they're fiercey. Jamaicans are fiercey.
So it's not like the US where a police officer will come up and say, take a step back, such and such, and then the situation will say, alright, cool, I'll take a step back.
You come to me rough, me, I come to you rough.
Right.
That's mentality.
And as I made the point earlier, I think sometimes when the conversation gets polar, we miss some of those nuances because I don't know, me as a citizen, I might not even trying to be disrespectful. I may just be on guard. Like you get me? Like you may just be on guard with the police officer, like and it becomes reactionary instead of you intentionally trying to be disrespectful or so forth. We have a very strong.
We're fierce.
Yeah, we are. So the question now is, what do we need to do as a country to really stem that? To say, okay, if we're going to have we want to have good relationship between police officers and citizens, what we need to do. And I agree with Cleveland. I think an additional thing, and I'll put it out there, maybe we need to start being way more familiar with police officers within the primary schools, or starting from when they're leaving basic school to the primary school. So you're around a police officer on a regular basis. So when you see a police officer, say, oh, I'm used to this level of authority. I mean, not everybody has interacted with a police officer in a positive setting. Sometimes you see a police officer, okay, they might handcuff somebody, they might give a ticket, they're in their course of duty, but not necessarily, oh, I'm so used to. Right. In the US, police officers are there at different fun days, different, I would say positive events for you to create a positive environment, but relationship with the officer. So I think, and I wouldn't necessarily put it within the context of community policing either, because I know they're doing stuff that within those also. But the challenge is, again, it's still a negative environment because the reason the police is there is because, okay, we're trying to keep the peace, we're trying to create a relationship so we can catch criminals and
prevent violence.
But not necessarily, oh, a police officer was there at my class party. He spoke to us, we talked, such and such. I want to be a police officer.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the things culturally in society, wise or socially wise, that we need to explore more. To bridge that gap.
Do you have any suggestions,
No, that suggestion is a good one. I'm just thinking what comes to mind. I think more community engagements with the police force. I don't. Do they still have the police youth club kind of vibe?
I don't.
Is
think
it robust?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, I think
as it once was.
Right. I recall growing up, it was a robust movement, and I think that we probably need to strengthen that again, and also getting the police out at different community events, so people can see them, people can know them, people can be familiar with them, talk to them. And I think
that you're with them, you're not against them. Because it's nowadays, it's that mentality that's going on.
Yeah, man. Those things help to build, I think trust and help to support the presence of the police officers when they need to, maintain law and order. Going into the schools, in my primary school and high school, we used to have some police visits. I don't know how wide scale that is, or if that's a sort of structured thing. But certainly anything structured in that way that exposes the young people to just the need, the relevance, and just the kind of treatment that police officers should have with them, and the kind of I say respect that should be given on both sides. Should start the conversation from there, and come right up.
I love what I do because it looks at the interconnectedness of everything. You get me? And we strip away the polarized conversations, because police officers are humans too, but citizens are also humans
too.
So citizens don't feel they're on their guard. They're saying, okay, police are kill me, and then police are saying, well, citizens are on their guard, and so everybody is now on their guard. Yes.
Yeah.
And as Cleveland makes it perfectly well with I think body worn cameras can be, or maybe is, that final push to say, okay, we're going to put citizens into the shoes of a police officer on duty. We can understand from an emotional, as a visual, from an emotional standpoint, what are the challenges. Unfortunately, as well as major unfortunate things, was like a lot of the times, like a lot of the situations that we're hearing is just the negative ones, the killing, the suffering. And it's very, I would say unfortunate, I would say it's very concerning sometimes. And I think we don't push the other side to stuff as well, the good things that the police.
Yeah, there are
so
really good people.
It's one of those things that the bad will just always be in the limelight, and then again it then fuels this cycle of people saying, why police are kill regular people now, but I think the body worn cameras, and especially it being integrated into Jamaica Eye, as that is being rolled out, which is a whole other conversation. But it being integrated can give us more so a wholesome understanding of what it's like. But I would hope that persons have a new and improved perspective of police officers.
Yeah, there are good men and women in the police force.
Yeah, we're not repeating
and
that.
every day they execute acts of goodness, I would say. Good acts, kindness. They're noblemen who operate within the law and within the consistent with the protocols and policies of the JCF. Just about in everything you do, we have some bad apples.
That's true.
But I choose to believe that the overwhelming number of police officers, they are good people.
Yes, they are.
And I think they're passionate about their job, and the police should be commended, should be thanked for just their willingness to serve and protect. It's a hard work.
Very dangerous.
It's very hard. And I think that line is needed to balance the conversation around body on camera, so that security forces don't think that we're out to get them.
Nope.
And that nobody can say we're against police. We're not against police. We support law and order, and to the extent that the police protects law and order in the society, helps establish that law and order. I don't know why we'd be against police. We just think that there are some things that can support them in their execution, so that accountability and probity can be there. And it's in that regard that I think that people support the use of body-worn camera. It's not anti-police. I'm certainly not anti-police. If I'm robbed, I'm going to the police. If someone makes a threat against me, I'm going to the police. So I think that line, that narrative, needs to be in the conversation for the appropriate balance.
Yeah, I do agree with you, because it is said, for at least little issue we call the police. If a heartburn, instead of calling the ambulance, we basically call the police. Officer, me are dead, or something like that. And we are in agreement that we have a good amount of JCF officers that are actually ensuring that we're protected and ensuring that they're carrying out their duty, which is to protect and serve. However, we have to look at the fact that we have some couple bad apples, and where there are bad apples, they can make everyone look like they're also bad apples. So as a result of that, we are pushing for the mandatory establishment of the body-worn camera for officers to wear during planned operations, and that's just it. Yeah. So with that, we have come to an end of our episode. It was a good one, wasn't it?
I enjoy. I enjoy the conversation.
Yes.
Sure.
And I hope you guys did. So stay tuned for the other episode coming soon. And thank you guys for joining us. This is Just Tea Podcast.